coming up, we're going back to the 90s. Join us as we dissect the first trailer for X-Men 97 Season 2. Stay tuned. Welcome to The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And we are your hosts, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how you doing today, buddy? What's up?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. X-Men 97 Season 2. Buddy, man, this thing came out in 2024. Just to peek under the sheet here at the Morgue, Arturo and I kind of had to talk about this a little bit, just kind of reminding ourselves, oh, when did this actually hit? And it really has been 2 years, and a lot has happened in 2 years, and a lot has happened in X-Men 97 Season 2. So if you didn't see the first season, this is just a quick reminder. Please go check that out on Disney Plus. That is the easiest pay for it kind of thing we could ever give here at the Morgue. Great season all around. We can even talk about that a little bit. But in terms of Season 2, looks like things are getting even wilder. The end of Season 1, big spoilers. There's time travel. And now the X-Men are flung across time. And in the trailer, they gave us a story, actually. This is okay, they're spread across different points in Apocalypse's control of the world here. And with that, in coming July 1st, which is also a big deal, because it's hey, they dropped the trailer and it's coming out already. So that's huge. And now we're going to see what's going on. And hilariously, a big thing in this trailer is we're going back to the 1990s, and they keep amplifying 1990s of it all, right? And you're okay, the first time it was just called 97 because it was a literal sequel to that original 1990s animated series. And now they're really putting the whole 90s thing in here. So what do you think, Arturo? How you feeling?
It was pretty funny when I watched this trailer, and then they said, we got to go back to the 90s. And I was holy crap. So you're absolutely right. In the first season, it wasn't really stressed that it was 97 or the 90s. But in this one, because of the story and because of where they are in this time traveling thing, they need to emphasize exactly where they need to go, which is back to the 90s, because they had the apocalypse all the way back in ancient Egypt, and then they're dealing with the apocalypse all the way back in the future, all the way forward in the future, I should say. So now they need to go back to get the X-Men. It's that whole thing. Oh, we got to go back to before they were born kind of thing to stop them from being born kind of nonsense.
Right.
But I really am excited about this season. It's been 2 long years and a lot of drama behind the scenes as well, unfortunately, that also held this back longer than we anticipated. But now we get the full trailer, and first off, visually it looks fantastic. The animation looks so crisp, so clean, and I can't wait to watch on a big old screen because they definitely emphasize the animation, and I think they took their time as well to make sure everything looked as good as it does on this trailer. And I'm very excited to see the entire season and with all the awesome visuals. And I am so hyped, Tex, about getting back into this show. When we spoke about it years ago, I can say years ago, go back a couple of years, folks, to our archive and check out our review for X-Men 97. It's been a long while, and we praised the show from entire inception to the conclusion of the season. And I cannot wait to see how they follow up. I'm very excited to see Apocalypse and how his powers are all kind of going to get translated into the season, because, like I said, they're going back to the past and then to the future and then back to present time, which to them, it's the 90s. So I'm excited to see that. I'm glad they mentioned the 90s. So I'm excited to see what the soundtrack sounds like, because they put some bangers in the first season that really helped the season go along, especially in episode 4 when they were back in Genosha during the whole celebration. They had some really good music there to set the tone for that episode. And Tex, any kind of do you have any insight as to what we can expect here in 97? Is it drawing from actual comics, or are they creating their own story here?
It's kind of a little of both, right? It is the original X-Men 90s series was big because it was taking arcs of the comics, pretty much literally, right? Like there was a lot of like the Dark Phoenix saga that you saw in the original 90s run was pretty much beat for beat that it was in the comics. And with 97, they're kind of going around that, and that's sort of the same thing with season 2, is like they are taking elements and ideas from the comics, but they are like mixing it up more. And because since the 90s we've had so many other eras of the X-Men and so much more material to draw from that will basically be slotted into this 90s version, right? Like because the original 90s run was like adapting like the Jim Lee art era and
Yep.
stuff like that. So it had like formulas to draw from. But with this new version, we've had so many other prominent arcs. And since then, we've had so many prominent stories that are now being incorporated into this 90s style. And what's impressive about that is that it's still all a part of that original canon. Like if that kind of matters to you, which it does to a lot of folks, like the whole like canon is a huge thing with like fans and comic book fans in general. And the fact that this new season is still lining up with that original series, like because 97, even if you didn't watch the original show, there were still elements that tied it back to it. There were still
Yeah.
like still the same team lineup from the original show. The stuff that happened in the original finale still happened. Professor X was away on like that other planet as we saw in that first season, and whatever all that wild story was going to be. And they've brought it and modernized it and started to include other elements from other things and from other eras. So that's going to be the same thing here. A big part of this too is that they have confirmed that season 4 is already a go. They are literally already working on the scripts for season 4, and they are committing to one season a year. So it's going the Invincible route. Invincible kind of changed the game,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like,
did.
Invincible, now that it's been able to stick to that yearly release rate, like now X-Men's going to do the same. And hopefully that's what we're going to see from Marvel's other shows that we want to see, like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like we're still waiting on that season 2. So hopefully we get that by the end of the year. But with 97, man, like I'm curious because like it looks like Wolverine's got his adamantium back. So like I kind of want to see what that's all about. Or is that like a past version of Wolverine? Because like remember in season 1,
Yeah.
Magneto did the whole ripping his bones out part.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And I'm curious to see if they're gonna take that invincible route, like you were saying, Tex, and make their own stories for this season or for this show run, because sometimes that does work out for the betterment of the show. Like creating something that's not in the comics. Yes, I know fans will be outraged or something, but I think by doing that, you cater it to TV and to
Right.
the actual layout and structure that a TV show has. Because comic books, we all know comic books work with arcs. So you have 6-issue arcs, 8-issue arcs. But I think in this one, it looks like we're getting a mix of a bunch of different storylines with one major arc that's going to be running throughout the background, which is probably the apocalypse thing. While we get little tidbits of character building here and there, as Tex mentioned, with Wolverine getting the adamantium back. That's also another story that they can throw in there as well. We saw the demise of a couple of characters in season 1. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. I'm not going to say who, but we saw the demise of some characters in season 1. Curious to see how that translates over to season 2, what they're going to do to kind of amp it all up, because season
Yeah.
1 was so good, Tex, from start
Yeah.
to
It
finish,
really was.
that it's gonna be very difficult to maintain that momentum if you're not prepared for it. So I do
Yeah.
hope that they start on a high note and then continue with every episode. Of course, we're gonna have fluff here and there, as is natural with TV shows in general. I really do hope that they keep up those awesome cliffhangers we had in season 1, because every
Yeah.
single time the episode finished, you were like, oh, I need to see the next one immediately. So I am hoping that the writers stuck with that anticipatory writing in each episode. I do have concerns at times with comic book shows as to how far they're going to go, how far off they're going to go off the canon, but that's all kind of put to bed with Invincible, honestly, right? Because when they
Yeah.
took their route and they were like, nah, this is going to be the TV show Invincible and we're going to do it our way. Plus, you're going to see some fan favorite stuff and some fan favorite arcs in the show. Hopefully, they do the same thing here.
Yeah.
I'm just excited about this text because it's been so long, dude. So long. 2 years is such a long time in the TV world, right? Because we're used to TV shows happening during seasons, once a year or like twice a year, depending on the show run. And I'm glad that we have this back. I'm happy to hear that they already extended it to season 4. So that's wow, that's exciting. But I really do
Yeah.
hope they don't get ahead of their skis, though.
Yeah, and that's the issue, right? Because like Invincible, for as much as we praise it for being released like every year, there are some cutbacks and there are some drawbacks that, even us will be like, it would be a lie to not mention like, oh, there were times where I wish it could look better, right? Like, they really
Yeah.
went out for like the big moments and big fights, but then like the rest of the episode, it's like, oh, maybe
It's like they
this
forgot
could have.
to animate certain things here.
Yeah,
And the
yeah, and
fans are quick to point that out. And
yes,
when they do point it out, and you watch
it
it, just that particular scene, it does look very egregious, but in real time, while you're watching the actual episode, it doesn't stand out as much. But the
yeah,
fans are always so picky and they want to make sure everything looks great. But I am hoping with X-Men here, we don't have that animation issue.
and
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing because like that. I mean, to be 100% honest, that carries a lot of it. Yes, it's got, great writing, it's got cool stuff, but like that cool looking stuff looks as cool as it does because they put a lot of time into it and they put a lot of time into making it look good. And if that doesn't hold up with like a yearly release, then we might have to go back to 2 years and just wait. Right. Like we might just be like, have to bite the bullet on that and just be like, okay, this is what we got to deal with because it's got to look good. Like,
Yeah.
okay, comparison, right? Like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We love that show. Incredible show, incredible writing.
Mhm.
I will also like I'd be lying if I didn't say like, it looks good for its art style, right? And it looks
Yeah.
good for what it is. But you just by even looking at X-Men, you're like, oh, they put a ton of detail into lighting, into shading, and like designs. And it is a lot of 2D animation. Yes, digital, whatever, 3D models, whatever you want to call it, like it looks good. And so that takes time. And I would rather, we've seen what happens to Marvel when they don't put time into their visual effects. And
Ah,
it's the,
yes.
it's the same thing with animation, right? Where it's like, there's only so much that, it's tough because we talk about this all the time, right? We say you can all have all the good technicals in the world. If you don't have a story to back it up, it's not worth it. But the opposite is also true, right? You can have an incredible story, but if it doesn't look like, if it looks
Yeah.
wonky or if something like visually doesn't connect with you, you're going to be taken out of it, right?
Yes, 100%. I definitely agree with that, especially because it comes from a comic book. And we know
Yeah,
comics, like they're drawn to the extreme, and they have their own art style, and fans fall in love with the artist or the character renditions of that arc or that time frame. But like Tex mentioned, it's Marvel, right? So there are
yeah,
concerns there, especially with the 2 year gap. Marvel has been doing a lot of stuff on the back end for the cinematic universe, especially with all this talk and rumors of the X-Men finally showing up in the
right.
MCU. I'm curious to see if they will try to do some kind of jumping off point in terms of characterization, for the cinematic universe as we see here in the comic universe, in the actual animated universe. I'm curious if that's going to kind of carry over in terms of how certain people act, how certain characters act, how certain things look. Because again, we keep talking about this every time we talk about superhero and comic book lore and all that stuff. Marvel hasn't shown us absolutely anything at
Right.
all for Doomsday. We've only seen the little trailers that popped off when Avatar came out in December. And after that, we've gotten nothing at all. So the concern here for me personally is we have this awesome X-Men show coming out in July. I just hope that the cinematic universe can keep up with the animated universe in terms of quality and in terms of character design and storytelling, because that is a huge concern for me going into Doomsday this winter time, because I know with animation and with TV shows, there is somewhat more time to work on this stuff to get things right, especially when you have 2 years off. So I'm pretty sure they got everything down for this new season of X-Men 97. And I am just hoping that translates over to the cinematic universe somewhat in terms of the quality we're getting. I'm not saying it's going to relate, scene for scene, panel for panel. I just want the same quality from the studio that brought us Infinity War and Endgame text. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
2 year hiatus from X-Men 97 also brought up those feelings because we got no good Marvel releases at all between the ending of 97 and right now, pretty much. So I hope Marvel does have their itch together. And I hope they do come through with both their animated stuff and their cinematic stuff text, because that is going to hold a lot of weight going forward, especially as a comic book fan, as we are here at the Morgue. We want to see the good quality stuff like Marvel gave us years ago, text.
Yeah, and that's if they, they want to keep making these, right? Like they confirmed season 4 before season 2 even came out. So they're clearly committed for at least 2 more rounds of this, right? And, with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, they're committed for at least a season 2, probably at this point, season 3. Like if it's following the Invincible pipeline, there's a good chance that they're working on the next season episodes already. That's just how animation works, right? They kind of keep going, like, because that's the thing, they need as much time as possible. And so this is all ultimately to say, like, it sucks that all that writing stuff happened behind the scenes. Season 1 was mainly a lot of it was written by one person, and that one person unfortunately was let go in the process of all making this season. And season 3 and 4 will be fine because it's the brand new team, but the person who was let go set up stuff in season 1 that we're going to see continue in season 2. And that's generally with the change in showrunners, you can't really ask the previous person how they were planning to move from point A to point B. So it's kind of like a lot of that, they're also going to kind of find their own way. So this is all to say, Arturo, like that's part of the wonkiness, right? This is part of the worry. And this is part of the worry that, like you said, that Marvel has been giving us this year in terms of like, we're hoping with, we're getting X-Men in July, we're getting July 1st. And then that same month, we're getting Spider-Man. And if those two things can like give us that hype back, we'll be ready in December for Doomsday.
Yes, absolutely.
If not, right?
Oh man, you're absolutely right. And buddies at home, drop a comment down below and let us know what you thought about X-Men 97 season 1 and what you think about this trailer and the future of Marvel and where it's going. Thank you so much for listening. This has been The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. We are your host, Arturo Padilla, along with Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to you guys out there for listening and for watching. We have all these episodes up on our YouTube archive, as well as anywhere you get your podcast streams. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell. That way you know when all these videos are dropping. A big shout out goes to Delvirus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And last but not least, it is a scary world out there, especially with Apocalypse, but we are here to walk you through it.